Plansang the Uling. Introduction. When there was not much electricity in the Philippines, a heavy iron with a container inside the store charcoal was used. The process of ironing with it is slow and tiring. It has no crank to control the heat intensity. It is also necessary to wipe the wax from the candle to prevent the iron from rusting. But it completely disappeared when there was electricity. Because of this, Filipino quickly learned to use the common flat iron or the electric flat iron, which is still used today. Few people use Plansang di Uling anymore, or it is just sold as an antique. Content. The charcoal iron was invented in the 15th century. The need for a smooth look of cloth requires its invention. The first iron were made of metal, cast iron or iron. This iron consisted of a single body with a lid that was movably attached to the rear on an axle to be opened and closed. They have transmitted the heat necessary for ironing, as they have been placed in coals. At the top of the lid there was a wooden handle that served to prevent burning of the ironing hand. Citation. The Plansang de Uling belongs to my grandmother Luzaida Amoto Nunyal, 62 years old, and born her in Alimujan. But when my grandfather married my grandmother, they first lived on the farm in the Miagao until they save enough money to buy land and a house here in Alimujan. And when they purchased, they immediately moved here. My grandmother said that there he found the plants of the Uling in the house they purchased. Context. At the time they moved in the year 1986, the houses back then were old-fashioned, and there were only a few houses in the barangay, almost enough to count the houses that were there in my grandmother's time. And that was also the time when the strike happened of the Filipino people against President Ferdinand E. Marcos. Communication. Yes, even though she wasn't the owner of the Plaza de Uling because my grandmother only saw it in the house they bought. That's why I trust her information because she's the one telling me what happened that time. When she found that thing in the house that she bought, even though I know that she is secondary source. Connection. I learned that even back then, when there was not much electricity in different parts of the Philippines, they could still scaffold their clothes using something called plancha de uling with charcoal inside. Conclusion. Because it represents early Filipino, even though there wasn't much electricity back then, they were able to scaffold their clothes using that thing. It's not the same now that many modern devices are powered by electricity. Because of this, we are slowly forgetting the devices of the past that were very useful even though there was no such thing as electricity. Even so, there are still people who use it in the Philippines. That's all. Thank you.